Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I am Jacqueline Lala, and I'm here today with my husband Rajiv. We joined this church last December and have just a couple of months left wearing our pink name tags. When we were asked to co-chair the Every Member Canvas this year, surprisingly, I jumped at the chance or the blessing of this opportunity. There were a couple of compelling reasons for me. To begin with, I wanted an opportunity to set in motion what had been set in motion years ago in my life at the church. As a young family moving to a new community and looking for a church home, we found a very special little church. It was everything we wanted, but something was missing. We were going through all the motions, but it wasn't feeling cozy and intimate like the church I had grown up in. About that time, a Stewardship Sunday came along, a lot like this period, and a few people got up and gave testimonials. One young mother said, "Whatever you give of your time, talents, and treasures, your blessings will be returned to you tenfold." And then, like she had some kind of secret with a slight giggle or laugh, she said, "Just try it. Commit completely. You won't believe what will happen. You'll be amazed." Okay, I was curious. She seemed so sincere and had that element of glee in her voice, like there was some surprise in the box. I have to admit, there was that moment when I considered there might just be a lucky leprechaun that would leave a pot of gold at my door if I did this. Hey, we were a young family with a mortgage and childcare to pay for, so it did cross my mind. What happened was actually better than a financial windfall. As I thought more about committing completely time, talents, and treasures, I realized that I had been waiting to receive, but had not really given anything of myself. I wanted to feel part of this Christian fellowship and feel bonded with this community, but I hadn't committed anything. So I began to commit in every way: time, talents, and treasures. I signed up to teach Sunday school, became a part of the women's spirituality group, and made a financial pledge. In 2 years, I became a deacon of that church, and the blessings have been pouring in ever since. I just want to give you a small cross-section of examples. When I began teaching Sunday school, I had the time of my life. What could be more fun than telling the story of Jonah in a darkened room inside a refrigerator box that became the whale with a fan blowing across, oscillating across a can of tuna? I want you to just think about that. Okay? Tight quarters, fishy smells, and another teacher spraying this water on those kids. I don't think anyone who's there will forget that particular telling of the story of Jonah and the whale. And many of the highlights of my life have involved communing with children in Christian fellowship, teaching Sunday school. Tenfold doesn't even come close to quantifying the blessings from those experiences. As a new deacon of that little first church, I was sent out on stewardship house calls. I showed up at one of the oldest members of our congregation's homes, scared to death. I had never been in anyone else's home to discuss God, the church, and definitely not money. I'll never forget the peace I felt sitting in their home, visiting, talking about everything, and praying with them. You see, I had never prayed out loud from my heart openly before that time. It can be very intimidating. You can really feel judged if you haven't done it before. But this dear couple, with their open hearts for Christian fellowship and no judgment about my misgivings or inexperience, showed me the way. It is again one of the great joys of my life, and tenfold doesn't even come close. Just a couple of weeks ago, after receiving some very difficult news, Rajiv and I were at dinner with one of the new small dinner groups formed at this church. We didn't feel much like going to be around people, but there could not have been a better time to be with friends and meet new people in Christian fellowship. It was exactly what we needed at exactly the right time to put things back into perspective. Again, tenfold doesn't begin to count the blessings we receive from Christian fellowship. Isn't it amazing what money can't buy? It's better than a surprise in a box. But wait, I've saved the best for last, and that would be the blessing of serving on this Every Member Canvas with my husband. This would be the first Brigitte and I would serve together in the name of God in our church. You see, this is the first church that Brigitte is taking the oath of membership for. Brigitte was born and raised in Kenya, a Hindu. He lost both of his parents before he was 10 years old and was then raised in British Christian and missionary boarding schools in Kenya. We have faithfully attended church together for 20 years. We were married in the church, and our children have been baptized in the churches that I have been a member of. He has been with me in lockstep, but has never before this church become a member. I don't know exactly why, maybe in an effort to honor his parents and his heritage, or maybe the right questions weren't asked, but something was right about this time and this place and this church. Brigitte joined this church, his first church. So when the question was asked, would you too be willing to co-chair the Every Member Canvas, my heart simply sang. And I was blessed yet again. I am blessed to have my husband, my fellow co-chair, and fellow member of this church by my side to tell the story about why this church, a solemn hill, is so special to him.
Thank you, Jackie. As you've heard, we've attended several churches, not only here in Connecticut, but also in Massachusetts, and also in Maryland. And this is the first one that I've joined. When I first attended worship here and met many of you and was introduced to this church, it was clear to me that all are welcome here. No matter where you are in your faith journey, this church and this congregation welcomes you. When Jackie and I first attended the new member orientation session, I had a conversation with Peter Grandy, and we talked about my background. And he said there's clearly a place for you here in this community of faith. He did some research and followed up with a phone call to me. He confirmed me that I could join as a full member, and for that, I'm truly grateful. Membership really creates those connections. Being part of this community brings us closer to God. And so Jackie and last week Jim and Mary talked about the fact that we're in a period of transition, especially with a new senior minister coming on board. And it's vital that we make sure we do not stumble at this critical time. I believe that we have built a strong foundation here, and we must keep it strong. And the best way to do that is to make this church a priority for our time and a priority for our money. Many of us think that missing the pledge goal is not a big deal, since this church seems to make you anyway. What they may not realize is that there is always an impact. When we don't meet our canvas goals, we put more on the shoulders of our ministers and staff. We defer expenditures like maintenance, and we fail to invest in areas that allow us to grow, to share, to care, and to outreach. I'm truly honored to be part of this Every Member Canvas Committee, serving especially with Jackie. It's allowed me to see the dedication, the commitment, and the contributions of our ministers, our staff, and our volunteers. We joined the church knowing full well that there was going to be a new senior minister. We recognize that this church is more than just a senior minister. It is about God. It is about doxology. It is about doing greater things. So let me end by saying that we are a strong community of faith. Let us do our part, and let's make this church our priority. There are several ways that you can pledge. As you know, you may receive something, a pledge card in the mail. You can fill that out. You're welcome to go online or call the church office. But bring a card and make your commitment to next Sunday's Pledge Sunday.
I hope you will join us in engaging in this community of Asylum Hill Congregational